Christian Estrosi is in Hong Kong. He is a senior figure in French politics, a three-time cabinet minister who has overseen portfolios including territorial development, overseas affairs and industry. A long-serving former mayor of Nice and today the vice president of the Provence-Alpes-Côte d'Azur region in southern France. This is his first substantial visit to Hong Kong. But China is not new territory for him. He has traveled to Beijing, Hangzhou, Shenzhen, Shanghai and Xiamen. Nice maintains sister city ties with both Xiamen and Hangzhou. More significantly, he has received two Chinese presidents in Nice, President Hu Jintao in 2010 and President Xi Jinping during his state visit to France in 2019. At the start of our interview, Estrosi responded in English. He soon switched to French, explaining that it allowed him to speak with greater precision and ease. The second half of this conversation is therefore conducted largely in French, while the questions remain in English. The result is fuller and more nuanced answers. Now, in his view, Hong Kong is not only a financial center. It is also a window onto technology, urban governance and green transition. So, what did he observe during his first visit here? And what kind of cooperation does he envision with Hong Kong, Shenzhen, and the wider Chinese mainland? Estrosi begins with an important clarification. Although this is his first time physically setting foot in Hong Kong, he did not arrive without context. He says he had already studied Hong Kong's history and understood his international position in finance, economics, and technology. In his southern French region, many institutions and companies already maintain links with Hong Kong.
That's my first time, and I discover Hong Kong, even if I have a lot of friends.
In other words, Hong Kong was not an unfamiliar name on a map. Through professional networks, visiting delegations, and long-standing partnerships, he had formed a clear image of the city. This visit allowed him to test that understanding against reality.
University, and I have a lot of my partners in...
He then situates Hong Kong within his broader relationship with China, one that stretches back 2 decades and is rooted in local-level cooperation.
I came in China a lot of times.
Estrosi first visited China in 2005 as Minister for Territorial Development. Since then, he has returned repeatedly, traveling to several major mainland cities. Sister city ties between Nice, Xiamen and Hangzhou have given that engagement a durable institutional foundation, spanning culture, technology, digital and development and industry. For him, cooperation with China has been gradual, structured and long-term. One of the most newsworthy moments in the interview comes when Estrosi recalls welcoming President Xi Jinping in Nice in 2019. During his state visit to France, President Xi chose to spend the first day in Nice, and Estrosi describes the encounter as exceptionally warm and says he sensed a genuine interest on the Chinese side in strengthening ties.
Naturellement, lorsque le président Xi est venu faire une visite d'État en France en mai 2019, il décida d'avoir sa première journée, il est venu pour 3 jours avec son épouse en France, sa première journée à Nice. J'ai eu le bonheur de l'accueillir au pied de l'avion. Ça a été une rencontre très très chaleureuse, et en même temps on mesure à quel point, et j'ai mesuré à quel point pour le président Xi,
he recalls greeting President Xi at the aircraft and emphasizes that the Chinese leader was well aware of the local-level links between Nice and China. That detail, he suggests, signaled that cooperation extends beyond national government to regions and cities.
Entre Nice et la Chine, entre moi-même et la Chine.
There is also a concrete example of how that relationship translated into action.
Et lorsque je l'ai accueilli au pied de son avion, et je lui ai remis en mandarin un emblème de Nice, I love Nice.
Estrosi presented President Xi with the Nice city emblem bearing the words, I love Nice. At the same time, he raised a proposal, the launch of a direct Beijing-Nice air route.
Parce que vous voyez, l'aéroport de Nice est le 2e aéroport de France international, avec beaucoup de lignes directes avec tous les continents et le monde entier. Et je tenais à ce qu'il y ait une première ligne d'avion entre la Chine et...
Within months, that route was opened. Estrosi himself later took the inaugural connection to Beijing. For him, the episode illustrates both responsiveness and the practical dimension of cooperation, a move from symbolic exchange to tangible infrastructure. So, what struck him most upon arriving in Hong Kong? Like many foreign officials, Estrosi acknowledges the city's financial strength and technological dynamism, but he also emphasizes something less tangible.
Ressent une atmosphère dans ce lieu qui est très intéressante. Il y a une dimension humaine, alors qu'on parle beaucoup de Hong Kong.
He describes a distinctive atmosphere, a strong human dimension. Hong Kong is, in his words, a financial and technological center, yet it is also defined by geography, a dense urban landscape set against preserved green spaces, mountains overlooking the sea, and one of the world's great ports. He also notes the warmth of his reception. Estrosi highlights another observation, the preservation of tradition within a modern metropolis. He visited local craft workshops and saw historic trade still being practiced. What interests him is continuity, the coexistence of tradition and modernity. For him, a territory's identity lies in its ability to modernize without erasing its cultural foundations. The interview then turns to geography. Nice and Hong Kong are both coastal cities framed by mountains and the sea. Both face growing exposure to climate risk. Estrosi offers a vivid image. Snow at the summit becomes water, which then flows down the mountain and ultimately reaches the sea.
The sea, Mediterranean, Pacific, the mountain. We have, you see, a situation very near.
His point is straightforward. As glaciers melt in the Arctic, Antarctic, Himalayas, and Alps, sea levels will continue to rise. Over the next 2 to 3 decades, water levels will pose serious challenges for coastal cities. Hong Kong and southern France, though geographically distant, confront similar structural pressures: urban density, water management, energy transition, and shoreline protection.
Going down of the mountain to finish.
In 2025, Nice hosted the 3rd United Nations Ocean Conference. China participated and Hong Kong was represented.
Last year, I received in Nice the 3rd Ocean Summit. China was present. Hong Kong was represented. That's why my relationship with China.
Estrosi sees ocean protection, biodiversity, and sustainable fisheries not as abstract global themes, but as immediate concerns for port cities. When he looks at Hong Kong, he sees a partner in navigating the transition to climate resilience. Technology is another central focus of his visit. Estrosi is spending 4 days in Hong Kong and traveling to Shenzhen. He stresses that this is not a ceremonial stop, but a working visit aimed at understanding the region's industrial and innovation ecosystem.
Relevant des savoir-faire, de la culture.
He says what has always fascinated him about China is speed. Over the past 20 years, he has witnessed rapid transformation. In certain sectors, transport, new energy vehicles, advanced manufacturing, digital systems, China has not only caught up, but in his view, move ahead. He wants to understand more precisely what Hong Kong represents today within that broader technological landscape, particularly in AI, robotics, and cross-border innovation between Hong Kong and Shenzhen. Toward the end of the interview, Estrosi outlined specific areas for cooperation. Hong Kong delegations have visited Nice twice in the past 2 years. The discussions, he says, were focused and technical.
À beaucoup d'autres. Huawei
The agenda included ecological transition, renewable energy, water resources management, traffic system, and efficient energy housing. He also references industrial partnerships involving Airbus, Michelin, and Schneider Electric. Huawei, he notes, has previously supported regional innovation initiatives, and companies in the Nice Technology Park have produced telecommunications components linked to the global supply chains. For Estrosi, the priority is sustainable urban development, lowering energy consumption through better installation materials, improving water management, reducing traffic emissions, and accelerating renewable deployment.
Importer leur savoir-faire.
He repeatedly uses the term savoir-faire, a concept that goes beyond theoretical knowledge. It refers to practical expertise, technical capability, and applied experience. In his view, Hong Kong and the Greater Bay Area bring strengths in technology, finance, and urban management. Southern France offered experience in green transition, coastal planning, and energy system. The objectives is mutual exchange, importing and exporting know-how to generate shared results. On the surface, this appears to be a routine visit by a regional French political leader, but the substance runs deeper. First, Hong Kong continues to function as an important gateway through which European regions engage with China and the Greater Bay Area. Second, city-to-city cooperation is evolving. It is no longer confined to ceremonial exchanges or cultural symbolism. It is moving into concrete fields like artificial intelligence, robotics, ecological transition, water governance, transport systems, and energy-efficient construction. Third, at a time when geopolitics is increasingly complex and global supply chains are being reshaped, pragmatic cooperation at the regional and municipal level may prove more resilient than national-level rhetoric. For Christian Estrosi, Hong Kong is not just a financial center. It is a partner city, one that shares both opportunity and exposure. And in an era defined by climate risk, technological disruption, and shifting global alignments, those shared realities may matter more than ever. I'm Raymond Chang. Thanks for watching.